During a town hall meeting when we were discussing the recent attacks on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, Lydia Ott, one of our graduate students in occupational therapy, shared with us her family story.
She is a Pittsburgh native, as were her parents, as were her grandparents, and as a matter of fact, her grandmother grew up in what was Pittsburgh's Chinatown.
It gave us the ability to tell a story that really a lot of people had no idea ever existed.
Appreciating the diversity and the complexity of our society in Pittsburgh is very critical to not only be inclusive, but really celebrate the full fabric of the city, full fabric of our university, and give that vision to the next generation.
When you are interacting with a patient, you need to know the context from which their lives come, because that is important as you try to treat them.
If you don't understand where people live and how they live, I think it's difficult to provide comprehensive care.
I think it's important for us to know each other. What I always say is that we can't hate each other close up.
It makes a huge difference, I think, if people know that they are appreciated where they learn and where they work.
Your story is important. Your culture is important to us. We want to hear about it. We want to share it. We want to celebrate it with you. And that's what makes Pitt and Pittsburgh such a rich environment.
Hi, my name is Lydia Ott. I am in my second year of the doctorate program of occupational therapy at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm a fourth generation Pittsburgher. Pittsburgh is home, Pitt is home, and in the rise of hate crimes against Asian Americans, I think it's really important that we know the history of our city. People don't know that there was ever a Chinatown in Pittsburgh, and it's really important to me because my grandma grew up there.
My name is Lydia Lee Ott. I grew up in Chinatown in Pittsburgh at 510 3rd Avenue, and I lived there until I got married and graduated from Pitt in nursing. 510 3rd Avenue. In this place used to be the building where I and the rest of my siblings were born. Chinatown, at the time when I was growing up, was just one block downtown of 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, bounded by Grand Street and Ross Street, and that was Chinatown. So it's small space, but there's a lot of people. On Sundays, there would be people like the laundries would close, and then they would have to come to Chinatown to buy things or just to socialize. So then the streets would be crowded. At that time, there were a lot of stores around the block, and there were some restaurants. Chinese at that time did laundry work and restaurant work, because there was discrimination, and they would open their own business because nobody would hire them. They did what they could. And San Kwang Yin, the store where my father was now the owner, was on 3rd Avenue, right across from Grand Street. And it was a general merchandise store. And it sold things that Chinese would use that you would not find in a supermarket at that time. Our family did everything. So we were able to because there were a lot of children and everybody pitched in to do the work.
It was really necessary in the 1900s for people to have a place to go where they could have a job, where they could live, where they could feel supported, and have people who spoke their language. It's not only the story of my family and the story of generations of Chinese Americans living in the city, but it's a story of Pittsburgh.
Now this is where the Providence Mission was, where we had the Sunday school. Mrs. Shaw and her daughter Mabel Velsky. Not only did they teach us about God, but they taught the older people, like my parents and that generation, they helped them to learn English. Mabel acted as a social worker because my parents did not know how things worked here. After we moved out of the 2nd Avenue Providence Mission, the Salvation Army building was here on this block. We could meet in there and have our Sunday school classes in there. Chinatown Inn is the restaurant that is on 3rd Avenue, and that's what you will see if you go to 3rd Avenue in downtown. They still have the, like the pagoda roof.
Really, Chinatown Inn is the last visual piece left in Pittsburgh of what Chinatown used to be.
In 1920, after the Boulevard of the Allies was built, it cut Chinatown in half. Prior to the building of the Boulevard of the Allies, there were maybe blocks and blocks, maybe 4 or 5 blocks all around that had Chinese in it. And so when I was growing up, it was just now reduced to 1 block.
Would you say that the Boulevard of the Allies killed Chinatown?
It certainly divided Chinatown and made people want to move away. So today, if you go to Chinatown, you will not see a whole lot of stores.
And it is sad to know that Chinatown in Pittsburgh is gone, but in a way, even though it is gone, it's not forgotten. Chinatown is important to everyone because it's part of Pittsburgh's history. It's part of who Pittsburgh is as a city, and it's really important for me as an Asian American to keep telling the story.
Chinatown for me has wonderful memories because in my 89 years, I have seen a lot of change. Lots of Chinese people are still living in Pittsburgh today, and thankfully, they are not confined to the block, 3rd Avenue, 2nd Avenue, Grant, and Ross Street. You know, the people that made up Chinatown are no longer here. I guess I'm hoping that the values and traditions that were practiced in Chinatown will be carried on, but that may not be happening. But in a way, traditions are carried on, but in a little different form.
And even though Chinatown is gone, there are parts of Chinatown that live on in different parts of the city. Various regions of our city have just the essence of Chinatown, the community, the stores, the culture, and the language. If you look around in Pittsburgh, it's here.
But I'm thinking, you know, in a lot of other cities, there is still a Chinatown. I think there was a need for Chinatown, a physical place where Chinese would feel at home. But that is not necessary now.
Even though in Pittsburgh we don't have that Chinatown, I think we still really need that space to be seen and heard and to grow as a community, not just as Chinese people, but as Chinese Americans, as Asian Americans, balancing both parts of our culture of being Asian, but also being American. It's really important as we train here at the University of Pittsburgh to be the best practitioner that we can be, to see the people in our city that aren't being seen. We need to be equipped as practitioners to be able to deal with that and to treat them with the needs that they have presented. The OCA, the Organization of Chinese Americans, put on a free clinic for Chinese Americans to receive healthcare services from other Asian Americans. I think this was really helpful to the Chinese population in particular because, one, it was free, and two, it was important for people in our community to be able to be treated by people who look like them, who can speak their language. It was also great to help serve the underserved population of people who might not have healthcare services. And so it was just a way for us to help bridge that gap. It was really special to be part of the OCA clinic. It brought our city together. It brought people from all different walks of life to work together for a common goal to help Chinese Americans get the healthcare and the services that they need. We have really diverse populations here that need to be treated, that need to be seen, that have to have their voices heard. That makes Pittsburgh what it is, that makes Pittsburgh really special, that we are a community and a city of different people, different languages, different things, but that we all are still working together to make Pittsburgh as great as it can be.